Welcome back. We're now in part 2 of 3 of the tour of the Charleston, Roanoke and Eastern Railway. That tunnel you see there goes to the other side of the basement, and we just left Johns Creek and we're now at McFalls Lumber. It's a lumber yard in the middle of nowhere, basically. Inspirations for this: on the Clinchfield there's a place called McClure Lumber, and McFalls is actually named for a Southern Railway and Norfolk Southern dispatcher who I knew, who unfortunately passed away in the last few months. Jack McFalls was a friend of mine and gave me a lot of nice opportunities, so I named the industry after him. He had a log cabin on top of a mountain, so I thought it was appropriate. This is Shenandoah Junction. Shenandoah Junction is where we cross the CSX line, the CSX Shenandoah division. The yard goes, the staging yard for that railroad goes behind our main line here. It'll be hidden by hillsides. And we're now coming into Newcastle, Virginia. Newcastle is an important place on the railroad. Quite a bit of local work done here. There's a Newcastle switcher that goes on duty and spends quite a bit of time during an operating session working the various industries. You can see the car card box is pretty full here with cars going every which way. So we have some local tracks to set off the cars that will be run on those that local depot. And we have over here we have a locomotive and a caboose for the train itself. It's kind of a favorite job of people's during an operating session. It takes quite a bit of time to run that train. As we continue on past Newcastle, we're going to Abbott, Virginia. The railroad actually passes in front of the staging yard for Roanoke, and all that staging yard will be obscured from view by a hillside in the future. All these white strips you see that are making this video oh so interesting are a good way to keep the trains from hitting the floor during operating sessions, so those will come down, of course, when scenery gets completed. This is Abbott. There won't be much to Abbott right here. Be a signal there eventually. And then we continue around to the Shenandoah Rock Quarry, which is located at Abbott. We're heading east. The Shenandoah Rock Quarry continues through the backdrop. I've just got a makeshift backdrop up there right now, just some blue board. The reason I did that is because the layout is designed in such a way that you could actually stand in one place and see everything over here, and I didn't want it that way, so I put the blue board up. Now you actually have to stay with your train in order to see where you're going. We're now at Catawba, Virginia. Catawba is a shorter passing siding on the railroad, and we see a special treat here. It's a steam-powered Amtrak train. CR&E does have some steam excursion service, and this Amtrak train was being run with the steam engine by my 6-year-old nephew, and he likes to run trains over here, and I give him an opportunity to run whatever he wants to whenever he comes over. Coming up to the east end of Catawba, we have a place called Red Sulphur. Red Sulphur is just the control point name. And this is the Southern States Grain Elevator feed mill at Catawba. And from a friend of mine, Terry Harrison, who lives in North Carolina and models the Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton, I learned some tricks for switching grain elevators that make it more interesting than just spotting cars and picking up cars. Local that comes here has to actually sort through cars and place certain cars out of the inspection tracks and into the receiving tracks, so that becomes kind of an interesting industry to switch. Kind of dark on this side because there's no lights over here. When I put up this temporary backdrop, it got real dim real quick. But we're coming up, if you can see it, to N&W Junction. This is the junction with the N&W main line between Bluefield and Roanoke. It will have the appearance of a double-track main line, but it'll be scenic, basically, and stub-ended. But the single track actually runs straight into staging. So you've got Roanoke staging in the background there. And that's the east end of the model portion of the railroad, from Charleston, from Lewisburg to Roanoke has now been covered.